Hey guys, here's your lesson 7 and 8 quiz. The read aloud for that. Put your first name, last name, and the hour that you are in science class. Number 1, chemical reactions happen when A, the atoms rearrange themselves to form new reactants. B, the bonds between atoms and reactants break and reform to make new substances. The products break apart into different substances. And the atoms grow until a substance changes state. Okay. Before you answer this question, let's talk about this question, and that might help you out a little bit. In the chemical equation model below, the electrolysis, there are blank. Okay. Wait on that question. So you have water over here. So you have H2O. You have two H2Os, right? That's why there's a 2 in front of the H and a 2 below the H, because there's 2 hydrogen atoms. This water is going to have electric. That's why it's electrolysis. It's electric being added to it. So this is my reactant. My water is my reactant. It's going through a chemical change, which is the battery and the water, which then produces, which is your product, hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So as you look at this chemical reaction, you need to think about where your reactant is, which is your water, and where your product is. That's going to help you answer many of these questions throughout this test. So, for number 2, in the chemical equation model below, hold please. Okay, sorry about that. In the chemical equation below, there are 4 water molecules, 4 hydrogen gas molecules, and 2 hydrogen gas molecules. So you're looking at these numbers, guys. Process of elimination. 4 water molecules. Okay, where are the 4 water molecules? Are there? 2 water molecules, 4 hydrogen gas molecules, and 2 oxygen gas molecules. 2 water molecules, 2 hydrogen gas molecules, and 1 oxygen gas molecule. Or D, 1 water molecule, 4 hydrogen gas molecules, and 1 oxygen gas molecule. Okay, so you're looking at these different equations and determining which one has which. Number 3, which of these best describe electrolysis? Exactly what I just said right up here. The name for all the chemical reactions. A reaction that occurs when an electric current passes through water. A reaction that occurs anytime an electric current is introduced to a rock. Or D, the division of nitrogen and carbon atoms. Electrolysis of water, 2H2O, produces which 2 substance molecules? You guys, that's right here. O2 and 2H2. So what did it produce? You have your reactant. What was your product? It's right up here at number 2. A tool for scientists to solve the reactants of a product. O22 and N11, or letter D, C12 and H12. All those questions all go together. Number 5, what is a chemical reaction? Is A, a tool for scientists to keep track of changes they make to a substance. B, a shorthand or a shortened notation or equation that describes chemical reactions. C, an equation that contains the same elements every time it is written. Or D, a tool for scientists to solve the reactants of a product. Number 6, which of these is not true of a chemical equation? A, the reactants are on the left side of the equation. B, the products are on the right side of the equation. C, the 2 sides of the equation have different types and different number of atoms. Or D, there may be more than one reactant and more than one product. Number 7, a whole number to the left, which is your coefficient, just like in math, of a formula tells me what? How many times a substance has undergone a chemical reaction? No. B, the average number of molecules. C, volume of a substance. Well, we're not even talking about volume, we're talking about mass. Or D, how many molecules of that substance are involved in a reaction? Number 8, What happens during a chemical reaction where molecules break apart? Okay, so you have two molecules, A and B, that are together. What happens when they break apart? They make a copy of the atoms of another molecule. They dissolve into original elements. C, completely dissolve into the environment. Or D, form new groups of atoms that make new substances. Number 9, I talked about this one in class, so make sure that you're paying attention to me on this one too. Based on that discussion in class, which of these is a chemical equation that describes the combination or two combining together of atoms of multiple substances? So you have 2H2O, that is my reactant, and then my product that you're going to get is 2H2 plus O2. Or you could have 2H2O2 is my reactant, turns into my 2H2O plus O2. Or you have 4Fe. You guys, the equation doesn't really necessarily matter. We have to talk about how we had two separate molecules, and then we wanted it to become a combination. So do you remember in class when we said we have A plus B? That combination gives us AB. Or if you had AB, and then you break apart, you split, you separate those AB, you have A plus B. And then the last two examples that we had in class was AB plus C. And that's just switching them up, where you got the end product of AC plus B. That's just switching those molecules into different atoms. So you have to recognize which one of those you're going to have that forms a combination. So something like your AB. Number 10, the law of conservation of matter states matter cannot be created nor destroyed. Matter cannot be created, only destroyed. Matter can be created, but cannot be destroyed. Matter that is created can be destroyed. Number 11, if there are 10 atoms in the reactants prior to a chemical reaction, how many atoms will be in the product? So, like if we go back up to number 2, you have 10 atoms in my reactant right here in the water. How many products are you going to have? 5 atoms? Well, if you start with 10, how many are you going to have at the end? 10 atoms, 500 atoms, or 1,000 atoms? The law of conservation of matter states the amount of matter before a reaction. Okay, this goes right along with this question of number 11, is less than the amount of matter after the reaction. So the product is greater than the amount of matter in the product or after the reaction, is equal the amount of matter after the reaction, or D, equals half of the amount of matter after the reaction. So is it equal to, less than, greater than, or the same? Okay. What is one way to observe the law of conservation of matter? Measure the volume of the products and reactants. I already told you we're not dealing with volume, we're dealing with mass. Measure the surface area of the products and reactants. Measure the mass of the products and reactants. Observe the products and reactants under a microscope. Think logically on that one, people. An exothermic reaction. You have to think about exo and endo. One releases, one absorbs. Releases more energy into the surroundings than it absorbs. Is a reaction in which the atoms in a substance expand or explode. C, causes a cooling effect in the surrounding environment. Or D, always involves a solid and a liquid. Number 15, the root therm means atom, cooling, reaction, or heat. Therm, thermic, thermogenic, thermal. Number 16, which of these is not true of endothermic reactions? It releases more heat than they absorb. requires a constant source of energy. It absorbs more heat than they release. Or D, stores energy. Number 17. The prefix endo means chemical, inside, heat, or outside. Number 18. What effect does a continuous source of energy have on the reactants of an endothermic reaction? A, the bonds between the atoms of reactants in an endothermic reaction soften. B, the number of atoms in the reactants increase during an endothermic reaction. C, the endothermic reaction causes the reactants to continue to grow in size. D, the reactants keep changing into products during the reaction. Think about what you've learned and what you know. The next couple are going to be from examples. In the picture, how are the atoms regrouping? Refer to your notes. Can't refer to your notes, it's a quiz. So you have, in an example, hopefully you're listening to this, A plus B. So iron is your A, B is your oxygen gas. Here's your chemical reaction, turns into FeO. Okay? So you have, does it combine? Does it break apart? Does it switch places? Or none of those? I talked about it in the top, so you may want to rewind. Which of the following statements about the chemical equation below proves the law of conservation of mass? There are 3 molecules in the reactant side and 4 molecules in the products. The carbon switches places and moves to a different molecule. C, the total number of atoms in the reactant is equal to the total number of atoms in the products. Hint, hint. The matter in this reaction are in different states of matter, your solid, liquid, and gas. I feel like we've already had this question, and you should already know the answer. So, good luck. I hope you guys did great. Take your time. If you need to go back and reread, re-listen to something, or ask any questions. Please ask me a question, Miss Moylan, I don't understand blah, blah number, and I will help you go back through it and make you understand. Have a great day. Bye.